Hey guys, welcome to episode 26. How are you, Krystle? Sassy pants.
I am sassy today. I am
Hey.
sassy. I am like a combination of fire. I feel like I'm all fire right
I feel the fire too. Like I'm like, "Argh!" Like,
now. Yeah.
don't fuck around, you'll find out. I was,
Like,
I was at the gym and I was like, I'm like, this is terrible. This is not going well. Like I feel blah. And then I got on the Stairmaster and for 30 minutes at the end of an hour of lifting. And I was like, okay, here we go. I'm like, it's like the energy is so intense that you
yeah.
feel stagnant. But when
Yeah.
you get rid of the stagnancy, it's like, whoa, there it is.
Yeah, I feel like my physical body is absolutely exhausted. Like I have no strength. I feel really, really weak
Mhm.
in my physical body, but like internally there is like this rage, not like rage like angry, but like raging fire. Like it feels like a hot energy.
Yep.
So it can come across as like a little bit irritating or a little bit like snappy or spicy.
I was like that, like yesterday, I was like, why am I so bitchy for no reason?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I
I was just
definitely.
bitchy.
Well, so Mercury retrograde just ended.
Just ended yesterday, and we are instantly in the shadow period of the eclipses again.
Oh,
So the
lovely.
eclipses start excuse me, that was old. September 18th, I believe. So we are in the pre-shadow period. We are in the period. And yeah, I mean, I'm fucking excited because my life is changing.
Yeah.
The ones in April, my life literally changed on the day of the eclipse was the day that I left my day job. And 3 days before this eclipse, I'm going to the farmer's market with this.
Wait, though, is that March 10th? Is that the video you sent me, the reel last night that said, what were you doing? Where were you March 10th?
No, that's something else.
Okay, because that was Pisces season.
That was the last something new moon that
Right.
before the eclipse season.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Because I was like, I have no freaking idea.
well, I
I
do.
know.
I know everything that's been going on. I'm like, okay, this is working so divinely because I'm going to the farmer's market
Yeah,
with the naturopathic office.
which is
And
exciting. So Morgan got have you said this? I think you did
so,
briefly.
well, I've kind of just like kept it to myself for,
Oh, I think I saw it on your stories, maybe.
oh yeah, on the
You
farmer's market.
Do you want to share?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to the farmers market with some local women at the so I'm going to be working in person at the naturopathic doctor's office and
Yeah.
on Saturdays. So it's like I'll be taking clients there. So it'll be part-time, like very, very like part-time, but I can't wait.
I know, I'm so
Like
excited for you.
literally, I left my job on the eclipse, April 8th, and
Mhm.
3 days before this eclipse, I start something new. Like if
Yeah.
you cannot get to like you can't make this shit up.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. And one thing that I did learn, just for everyone listening, we are not supposed to manifest during eclipse because the energy is very volatile. This is where we kind of step back and we allow the universe to do what it needs to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like hoping and wishing for new things. It's like whatever
Yeah.
is happening for you to, it's always for you, but whatever is going on, allow. So yeah,
Yeah.
like they're like, oh, do you want to go to the farmer's market? Sure, great. Allow that to happen. Don't be trying new things.
Exactly.
Whatever is going on. Like I left my job, but I didn't try to make that happen. It was just like I was forced to.
Mm-hmm.
So
Naturally happen.
well, it was so interesting.
So we I've channeled the energies last week, which will
Okay.
be 2 weeks when we upload this episode. And it was all about inner child healing. And it's interesting because it seems to have rolled into this week as well.
Yeah.
Which is what has inspired today's topic.
Yeah. Today we're going to dive in to the inner child. Krystle and I both have had like revelations. So we'll go back to this major depressive episode that I've had since July 23rd. And I know the date because has been that extreme that I've like counted and I've paid attention, because it hasn't been like, oh, I cried today. It's been every single day dark. And I bought a book for a client called The Completion Process by Teal Swan. And if anybody doesn't know Teal Swan here, she is a spiritual teacher. She spent a lot of years in a lot of trauma. And so I bought the book to help understand a client's trauma. And it came and I read one sentence of the book, and it basically said, like, we abandon ourselves because society says that negative feelings are bad, and therefore we don't, listen to our negative feelings. We just want them to go away. That put a friggin' light bulb on for me. I was like, oh my God, what is my depression trying to tell me? Instead of, I've been like, go away, depression. Like, I hate you. You're too much trouble. Like that has been the energy behind it. And the second I said, I like hugged myself and I was like, you are safe to cry. You are safe to be here. I'm listening to you. The energy like almost instantly shifted. And I'm like, that is my inner child, coming to feel safe. I was on drugs for how many years? Before that, I was my mother's parent. This is the first time in my life I've had a minute to breathe. And she's like, please, like, hear me out. And it's beautiful.
It is really beautiful. I would like to talk about that for a second, because the more that we get in touch with the high vibrational emotions, the more we crave that feeling. It's like that's all we want to experience, is that elated ease, flow, joy, gratitude, love, all those really high vibrational energies, because then we feel our best, essentially. So anything less than that, we make it mean something, that there's something wrong with us. We resist it. We try to change it. We feel like there's something wrong with us. It's like we don't want to feel that way. But the thing about being human is we are equipped with all spectrum of emotion, not one emotion being good, not one emotion being bad. It is just a feeling that we experience in a human body. It doesn't mean that that's who we are. It's just what we're experiencing in that moment. And like you said, the moment that I gave myself permission to be like, it's okay to feel this way. Like, what is this communicating to me? How can I listen? How can I get in touch with this instead of trying to meditate it away or energy heal it away, or, using hypnosis to try and, it's like we amplify it without actually accepting it and letting it share with us what it needs to share.
I think it's truly because, we are not taught, and I mean, me personally, I was never taught how to regulate myself, right? So, and I was journaling this morning on this. I watched my mom drink for her. That's how she regulated. My dad was aloof. He was just like, whatever, like he didn't understand the gravity of what was going on. And I'm this only child, like trying to manage my mother's emotions and explosiveness and my dad's aloofness. And I'm like so anally holding everything because I didn't, that's just how I took it on, and not learning that like people cry, you cry, you're sad, you talk about it, and then you move on. Like
Yeah.
it was just, no, it was just like, my mom drinks after 4 o'clock. It's fucking stressful. It's scary. I don't know what's going to happen. I could die. She could die. And it's like, I better, like, it's life or death for me. And
Yeah.
so when you look at it in that perspective, and I mean, anybody listening, like, look at your childhood. How did you regulate?
Yes.
How were you regulating? Were you taught how to regulate? And it's not your fault, but it's like, naturally having a depressive episode is going to be extremely scary for people if we
Yeah.
don't know how to move through it, right?
If we don't know how to process emotion.
Yeah.
This was a really great topic, and you kind of sparked that within me, and it was actually Bella's dog that triggered me, and I was like,
Mhm.
I love animals so much, like so much, but his loudness, his big temper tantrums, his noise, because he's very, very demanding,
Mhm.
and he needs to be noticed. He needs to be seen. He needs to be heard.
Mhm.
And it feels too big to hold.
Yeah.
And I noticed myself getting like really overwhelmed, and then I get angry, or I feel like my back's against the wall, and I'm like, no, you got to stop. Like, you need to stop right now. And then you brought it to my attention. You're like, it's interesting because when we get triggered, it's something that we didn't allow ourselves, or we felt like we weren't allowed to express that part of ourselves as a child. So then it got me thinking about my childhood, and my mom was stressed out all the time. And so her her emotion was already so heightened that any other kind of stress triggered her to like outburst towards us kids because she couldn't hold it. And so we were taught, hold it in.
Yep.
Don't cry.
Yep.
Don't fight. Don't yell.
Yep.
Don't nothing.
Yep.
Right. And so Sailor's ability to be able to be everything that he
Mhm.
is actually what my inner child wants.
Yes.
Wants to be able to,
I've got chills.
right? My
Ooh.
wants to be able to yell when I feel angry, or cry really loud when I feel sad, or, like have that big emotion that I've never thought that I was allowed to express. And it, whew, yeah.
Yep. And ooh, I am like full body chills. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like at 39 years old, I'm just figuring this out. So then I look at myself as a mother, and I was like, when my kids were young, I felt really overwhelmed. And there was some days when everything felt like it was too much. Did I teach them the same thing?
Yeah.
You
I,
know,
I you might have.
I
And
might have.
it's like, we have to, we're doing our best with what we have always. I
Yeah.
do that. And I mean, you have gone through a lot of self-reflection and self-awareness, and you're always on the journey. And this is what happens, is like, the unconscious teaches the unconscious teaches the unconscious. It's just this. And this is why I love hypnosis so much. This is why I fell in love with it, because our subconscious mind learns, but it's not permanent. Like, you don't,
Yeah.
but it feels permanent, but you can use hypnosis to rewire the unconsciousness that we've learned. And unfortunately, like just how we talked about last week,
Yeah.
societal norms, or just how we are in life, you know, we don't come out of the womb and then we're just like, our parents are not like, oh my God, love and light every minute of the day. And even
Yeah.
if they did, how much would it matter? Only because everybody in society would have to be the exact same. And then the lineage would have to be the exact same. As it
Yeah.
comes through the lineage, the subconscious, the unconscious programming is through the lineage. So we would have
Yes.
to we would have to all do our own healing. then have babies, be perfect with them, not project at all. And then everybody would have to, like, we'd have to rewire. And I think that's what what we are doing as light workers.
Yeah.
Slowly we're integrating, like, we are stopping the generational trauma, then having kids and doing our best so that it's changing.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It is changing. It's just, we all have to wake up, do the work.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel like it's almost a positive that people have kids a little bit later in life now, and you see that in society where people are waiting until their 30s before they even start their families. And not to say that there's anything wrong of like having kids when you're young, it's just I feel like the more that we grow and evolve, the more that we understand, like our own pieces that need to be healed or need to be transmuted or whatever the work needs to be done behind it. And yeah.
Oh, it's wild. It's wild. It's fascinating. And yeah, like, let's talk about the inner child. So what is your inner child? How would you describe it?
I think the inner child is literally pieces of you that you have suppressed throughout your life unconsciously, like you haven't done it on purpose, but it's like things that you've been taught or ways of doing things that actually block your wholeness of who you are. So what would like insecurities, maybe, for example, suppressed emotion, the way that you navigate emotion, how you allow yourself to play, how you allow yourself to receive rest without feeling guilty, or constantly feeling like you have to be in hyper masculine in order to be successful. Like it's like all those aspects of who you are and the ways that like you limit yourself from being completely free, I guess.
Yeah. The inner child, what I've learned, and it's just literally what it sounds like. It's just like the small you, but it's like it's always living inside of us. And people who are familiar with this are going to be like, yeah, obviously. But if you're not familiar with this, like, that person that you were at one point I'm going to talk about the subconscious here, between the ages of 0 to 10, like, it's not an exact science. Some people say 0 to 8, 0 to 10, 0 to 12, but let's just say 0 to 10. That malleable, impressionable child, before they got their own wits about things, before they got their own grasp on life, is all receiving. They are receiving information. It's going in. Like, that's why we have to be so careful, like, with what kids watch, and like what they see, what they hear, what we tell them, because it goes in and it like hardens as a belief. And so all we understand when we are children, is life, how it feels. We are not intellectual at 8 years old. We're like, mommy did this, that really hurt. And now we make the connection that when mom does this, I'm hurt. And now we have mother wound. Or, I got yelled at for talking to my friends, or my dad exploded at me when I went out with my friends. And now later in life, somebody has anxiety when they go out with their friends and they have no idea why. They're like, why do I have anxiety in public? Because this link got made, in this child's malleable head, that I'm in trouble. And so the inner child experiences everything through feeling. There's no thought. It's not rational. It's not like, oh, dad's being a dick. No, it's like, dad is gonna kill me because of, me going with my friends or whatever. And so we learn these things, and we end up with this child that lives in us, good at, like, with positives and negatives, like you
Mhm.
said, about playfulness. You know, that child that lives
Mhm.
inside of us is how we express ourselves before we learned, oh, you shouldn't overly express yourself. That's not good with society. It's
Yep.
the part of you that laughs, uh, uncontrollably, or, or maybe like, I don't know, or who loves to dance, when no one's watching, or, has a
Yeah.
weird laugh, or like, or a really big crier, or just that part of you that's not controlled. And all they want to do is express themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's interesting because you think about it and you're like, okay, what kind of child was I? You
All
know, did I
right.
play? Did I use my imagination? Did I play? Did I laugh? Did I experience joy? Like, what did it look like then?
Mm-hmm.
What was I taught about it? And I find um when I run my programs, I always, I talk about manifesting, but I'm like, we really want to re-spark that imagination within humans because we are creators. And if we don't have the ability to imagine life differently, how are we supposed to create it differently? But a lot of that part of humans is shut off
Yeah. Yeah.
because as a child, oh, stop pretending to be a cat. You're not a cat, you're a person. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, I'm not allowed to pretend to be anything other than what I am.
What, or whatever, like when we were
Yep.
told, there's no, like, I remember this traumatic incident of my mom telling me there's no Santa, and she was like drunk eating the cookies, drinking the milk, and I was like, what the fuck is like,
Yeah.
that is so messed up for a child to
Yeah.
receive, like, it just totally skews your belief in reality. And so, for people listening, like, can you give yourself a bit of compassion that, like, where your belief systems come from, and like
Yep.
maybe why you think everyone's an asshole, or maybe why you have anger issues or whatever.
Yep.
Like, how did your inner child see the world? And
Yeah.
can we connect with that inner child in us,
Yeah.
remind them that, like, as best we can, they are safe with us. Because that's the key. The key is
Yeah.
they didn't
Yeah.
feel safe at one point or another. I don't care how perfect of a parent you were. Like you said, if a mother was having a bad day and being like, you're not a cat,
Yeah.
the mom didn't mean that. It was just,
Literally.
it's just like, you
Mhm.
know, people get frustrated or annoyed or whatever. But the kid could have taken that on and it's like, oh God, I better not pretend. And now, like you said, you grow up and you're like, oh, I don't
Yep.
pretend. No, things have to be rigid or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think healing the inner child is really about remembering, remembering who they were. And
Hmm.
when something comes up that, like, you can't get past, is it your inner child trying to talk to you?
Yeah, that's a huge one. And I just wrote a post about this the other day because I felt like there were certain different aspects of the inner child that we can work with in order to heal it. One
Mm,
of them being play,
yes.
and not like adult play, like where you go out to the bar for the night and get drunk, like real
Like skipping rope,
artist.
or
Yes, skipping
or like,
rope,
mhm,
um, crafts, music, dancing,
yeah.
that sparks that play within yourself that feels fun and relights that child within you. I think another one is this is a really big one because there's so many people that feel guilty about taking rest.
Mhm,
Children rest when they're tired. They don't ask for rest.
mhm. They
They're
just,
not taught that they have to earn it,
no.
and like rest and being allowed to do that when we feel um exhausted, that's another huge part of comforting the inner child, right? Self-soothing.
Yep.
This is another one. Can you regulate yourself?
Yeah.
And I don't mean like suppress your emotions, you're not allowed to feel this way. Can you move through the anger? Can you move through the sadness and let it take up space and really feel it?
Can you take up space, period? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big one for people in general. You know, my hot yoga has been really beneficial for that because this one teacher who I love so much, she's like, be loud. She's like, we're going to take an
Mhm.
inhale and we're just going to exhale and like do lion's breath. Now I'm at the gym. I don't give a flying fuck who is around. I'm doing
Mhm.
abs. I hate doing abs. And I'm like, oh, like I'm like
Yeah.
yelling out loud in the gym. And it's not for attention. It like we have to, people, you know, were like, oh, don't be loud. My dad was like that, like, oh, Morgan, if you're gonna be loud, go live on a farm. That was his one liner all the time.
Yeah.
And so because it makes, again, it makes him uncomfortable because his inner child wasn't allowed to be loud because it made
Exactly.
dad uncomfortable. And his dad, my grandpa, probably wasn't allowed to be loud because it made his parents uncomfortable. So it's like we're passing this shit down to everybody, not even understanding where it's coming from. You know, yesterday, like I've done a complete detoxification of my life. I'm doing
Mhm.
it like physically, internally, just all the things. And so I got rid of my regular toothpaste, my deodorant, all this. I'm like toxins out. Like, why
Mhm.
am I using aluminum deodorant? Like, hello. And I said to my dad, like, I knew this was gonna ping him, so I did it. I was like, you know, I'm gonna grow my armpit hair out. And he was like, no, you're not. And I was like, what? And I was like, why? I
Yeah.
wanted him to get into it with me because I wanted to like help him witness himself. And
Yeah.
he couldn't even tell me because he knows that I'll argue with him. But he was like, because that's just no. And I was like, because that's just what? Like, let's talk about it. Like, why does that make you uncomfortable? And
Yeah.
he wouldn't answer me, but it's
Yeah.
because society has told him
Yeah.
you shouldn't have armpit hair and that's disgusting and like
Mhm.
gross. And now his daughter's saying that and now he's like, oh, he doesn't know how to handle it. Like it freaked him right out.
Makes him so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I have compassion. And also, how are we going to help if we don't trigger? And like that goes back to
Yeah.
what you were saying earlier, like triggers are really important. They are here
Yeah.
to help us.
They literally show us what needs to come to the surface.
Yes.
It's like triggers are I call them our check engine light. It's
Oh,
like your engine light comes on in your car, you know something's going on. That's what a trigger is. And so when you go through the healing process of like, let's say we're doing mentorship, that is literally mentorship.
yeah.
Is like it's like a wide open space of when you feel triggered or you feel uncomfortable or something surfaces for you, you bring it in this space because this is how we heal those pieces
Yeah.
through the triggers, through the emotions.
Yeah.
But
The
like going back to going back to you being loud,
Yep.
that is one of my biggest insecurities.
Okay. Well, it was mine too. Like, I mean, not maybe the biggest, but I had to work on it.
It's one of my biggest ones. Like if I'm in a room and we're doing heavy breathing, I don't want to make a sound.
So I would invite you in that. I would
Yeah.
invite you right now, just like, can you, and anybody listening, if this is your thing or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
I think the first step to doing this is sitting by yourself in the
Yeah.
house alone, no kids, and being loud because
Yeah.
it's you getting comfortable with you. Like it took me a while as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had to, you know, it's like take a deep breath in and exhale. And it was like, but I'm just by myself exhaling. And I was like, whoa. So
Yeah.
it starts, can you just do it by yourself?
Yeah. And the other one for me is like movement.
Mm-hmm.
Like intuitive movement.
Yep. See, I'm more comfortable with that, but it's
Yeah.
like, can you just do it by yourself? Do it
Yeah.
by, it's like, if you can witness yourself and do it by yourself first, being around other people will get easier, but it's like, what is blocking you with you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that
Mm-hmm.
make you feel to even think about dancing intuitively alone?
just uncomfortable, I guess. There's not really like it's not like an embarrassed feeling or anything. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. And I think it comes from, well, I know exactly because this is the download that I got. It was one of the boyfriends that I had.
Oh,
It was like you couldn't do anything right. It was like, stop it, you're being weird, or stop, you know what I mean? Like, and that's all it takes.
that's all it takes.
That's all it takes. And then you judge yourself.
Mhm. Yep.
Somebody judges you, you judge yourself, and then all of a sudden you've blocked this part of you off.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I definitely have been called weird my whole life, and it's I tried to change that, like with numbing, with substances. I was like, I just want to fit in. Like I
Yeah.
just want to fit in because I was so, let's say the word weird. I use that like that doesn't hurt my feelings now. Like I actually embrace that word, different. You know, and I'm still not there. I'm still really exploring like who I am, because this whole trigger thing that's happened this year is giving me the, well, I have no choice. It's like, do you want to be depressed or you want to explore yourself? Pick one, because you're
Yeah,
gonna be
exactly.
depressed or you're gonna explore yourself. So I've made the choice to explore myself, but yeah, it's not.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I have this conversation with my kids.
Okay.
They'll say, "Oh, that person's weird." I'm like, "Well, what makes them weird?
Yes. Yes.
What
Hmm.
does your opinion have anything to do with, how weird they are? Like, what is normal?" Every person is unique on this earth. There is not two people that are the same. So you tell me what normal is. What makes somebody weird? I think what happens is something within them gets triggered from that person, because everything is a mirror. So this goes back to the trigger, because that's what it is. It's a
Yep.
trigger.
And we judge. It's
So what
projection.
part of you, yeah, what part of you have you suppressed, that they're reflecting to you that you don't allow yourself to do? Like, what makes them so weird? Like, to me, in my brain, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I think whatever it is, and we all do this. Like nobody is exempt
To
from that.
judge. Yeah.
We all judge because
Yeah.
again, it triggers this inner child that wasn't allowed to do that. So we look at that as weird because that's different, because that's not, because we've suppressed that part of us because we were told that part of us is wrong. So that's beautiful that you asked that question. We should
I think
ask that
it's,
question when we judge.
well, I think I judge myself when I judge somebody. I'm like, why are you judging? What does this mean?
Yeah.
Let's pick it apart. Like, what does it mean about me? That's what I always think. But like, it upsets me. It upsets me because they're looking down on someone because of who they are. And that is exactly what we need less of in this world. We want to be able to embrace everyone for who they are. It's like, we don't have to like it,
Mhm.
right? But you're you because you're you, and that's what makes you the perfect version of you.
Well, they probably have to do some inner child healing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, I think every single person has inner child healing to do. Again, like even if we were brought into this world with this perfectness of like our parents not judging or not projecting or whatever on us, I think one way or another, I mean, unless this whole world was enlightened, like that's a different, that's going to take a few generations to get to. And every single
Absolutely.
person has to be on board. So
Yeah.
until that
It's so true.
happens, we're going to have inner child healing to do. The point is can we make it better for future generations? Can we
Yeah.
cut the generational trauma here, stop it here, and allow our children to be better and
Yeah.
doing the best we can, right? So
I guess, I mean, when they say that and I get upset, in a way, I'm kind of judging them for judging too. It's kind of, like it's like this like trap
Yeah.
that you're just falling into. But I guess it's just more of like teaching yourself or them to see things in a different light and understand it as like, okay, well, what part of me is uncomfortable right now? What is this showing me?
Yep. I just want to add like some, other ways we can heal our inner child is okay, so I have hated journaling for the
Mhm.
longest time. And since I've connected with my inner child, I actually really love it because it's bonding with yourself. And I will say, and this is, it's not shameful because it just is what it is. I'm not
Mhm.
ashamed of it. It's sad, but I have never really built a relationship with myself. And
Yeah.
that's why I didn't like journaling because it's like, well, what am I going to write? It's dumb. Like, I don't have anything to
Yeah.
write. And since I've met myself, I've written on my mirror, which I would never do because I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like, what would I write? It's because it's very confronting. Journaling is extremely confronting,
Yeah.
but it's like, can we build relationships with ourselves? Whatever this person is inside of us, whatever
Mhm.
age it is, because there's what happens with the subconscious, at least, is parts of us break off. So we are whole, we come in this world whole, and then something happens and it's like it gets frozen in time and a part of us breaks off and it learns that. And then okay, like going along, your dad gets mad at you, yells at you, you now learn like I'm gonna die when I like color on the stove or color on the walls, and now I'm
Mhm.
never going to color again. And you were
Yeah.
that was solidified to be fearful of being artistic. And I know it
Yep.
doesn't make sense, but that's what happens in
Does make sense.
these fragments, right, get blocked off. So it's and this is why I'm obsessed with hypnosis is we can collect these parts and make it whole again. So regardless if you do hypnosis or not, what part of you can you befriend?
Mhm.
Because like the artist that was drawing on the wall got in trouble. Now they're actually an artist, but they're not because they've never expressed it. Like, yeah, like art.
Can
Um,
you relight that art? You know what else I love about journaling?
but journaling is so great. Like I'm like, wow, like
Yeah, I feel like
express
it
myself.
is the number one safest space for you to express yourself fully. Nobody's judging you.
But you are judging you. And
There's no there's
that's
no opinion if you can set that aside.
but I think it's
Um,
never don't
but I've
have
been
this like you must have a relationship with yourself more than I did. So
yeah,
it was like, well, I don't have anything to say. Like, what am I going to say? You have to
yep,
look at yourself in order to journal.
yep, yep.
It's
I I've I've always been a writer though too. Like it has been in me since I was a child. I have written poems,
oh,
books, short stories. Like I have always loved, for me, that is like a huge part of my creative outlet. That is one part of me that I never suppressed was like my artistic side.
good.
And lately I've been like, okay, we need to light up the sacral because I feel like that's what I'm lacking right now. And it's why I don't feel creative. So, like, what ways can I nurture my inner child and bring that play out? That's what I've been exploring lately.
Same here.
Yeah. And it's fun.
It's fun.
Like you actually take the time to go. I went for a trail ride with Bella. I'm like, this is the best day of my entire life.
Mhm.
Why don't I make more time for this stuff? We make things so serious all the time. All work, no play, but you need both.
Well, I think a lot of people play is getting drunk.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, like
Numbing.
not everyone, but
Yeah.
it
Yep.
is, right?
Smoking weed or whatever it is.
Escaping because we've
Yeah.
done things we hate because we've
Yep.
ignored our inner child and we've learned it's like it all is on top of each other. It's like we've ignored our inner child that we can't do that. So let's do something else. And then we go along life going against who we are. And then we
Yep.
need to numb at the end of the day because we're not happy. Well, no
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Mhm.
no, you have to look at it like that. It's like, wow, okay.
Like, what is real happiness? And to me, that is
Only
like,
you know. Only
because
your
everyone's
inner,
different. Yeah.
it's what
Yeah.
brings you joy on the inside.
Yeah.
It,
Exactly.
and I don't think happiness is something to be, it's not like, oh, I'm happy. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
You
It
feel
is a
happy.
feeling.
And, and emotions go all over the place.
They do. One of the things now that we're talking about this that I used to absolutely love, and I've literally just considered buying a Nintendo.
I have one.
No way. I used to love gaming.
Yep. Really?
Loved it. Like I spent so much time as a teenager gaming.
You should do it.
It's fun.
It's fun.
I might buy one.
I get so competitive. I'm like, I gotta keep going. Like,
Like Mario. I loved Mario. Or like we would play like Zelda.
yep.
Ah, I might do
I
that.
used to love Crash Bandicoot. Like that was my
Yes.
favorite.
Yes. Oh
Oh my
my
God,
God,
we should
that's
do
amazing.
this and
We
like
sh-
play each other.
we totally can.
Okay, done.
Not Fortnite though, because that's not my thing.
What's
I
Fortnite?
You do not know what Morgan.
What?
Fortnite is like swept the nation.
Look, I am very particular about things. When I get on something, I'm on that train and I'm staying on that train. And I was on the Crash Bandicoot train and whatever what was before that?
Yeah, Mario is
Mario
huge.
Brothers, like one,
Yeah,
two, three. Like that
yeah,
was it.
Mario World.
That was my
Yeah,
obsession. I'm very obsessive with things. I don't veer off. It's like,
yeah. So Fortnite is you play it online and you can play with your friends and like connect online, but basically you start out with like 100 players
mhm.
and you just kill each other.
Oh,
And the last one standing wins.
okay.
It's like it's an obsession though. Like my Caden,
Mhm.
he used to be obsessed with Fortnite. He still plays it sometimes, but my nephews are obsessed with Fortnite.
Okay, we're gonna have to cut this because you have
Yep,
and I
I do
really
have it.
bathroom and I'm like gonna,
Okay.
but anyways, I
Okay.
just wanted to share that if anybody, so I am taking on one-to-one clients right now for hypnosis and life coaching. I also have my stress and burnout transmission on my website. And what is coming is I'm building my healing vault. And so what that's going to look like is there's going to be different, I think it's going to be based like emotion based or like major theme. It's themed based. So the one I'm building right now is for grief. And so there's going to be like education on grief, different hypnosis
Mm-hmm.
meditations on grief, how to release,
Mm-hmm.
how to like ignite your inner fire,
Mm-hmm.
and like subliminals to listen to help reprogram your mind, to give you confidence, to help you move through. So there's
Beautiful.
different vaults, like the grief vault, the anxiety vault, the I don't know, money mastery vault, if that, I don't know if that'll be a thing, but you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
maybe these different vaults and yeah, if you guys want to, if you're looking for something for stress and burnout, the one that I have is amazing. It's on my website, morganzack.com. And yeah, if you're interested in hypnosis and want to rewire this little child and help them come out and play, I highly recommend you come in and check it out. So you can DM me or
Beautiful.
yeah,
Find you on Instagram.
I mean on Instagram. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
I am not in any launch currently. Usually I have a program going, but I am available for energy healing. I also do one-on-one calls and mentorship. So you can also find me on Instagram
Mhm.
or my website is krystlechase.ca.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
You guys so much. And we will see you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.